All right, Abnormal Alley family. Today we're going to be streaming on Twitch, and we're also going to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And the common theory surrounding him is that he was some sort of, sex trafficker, obviously, and that he just got into it too deep. A lot of people think like some politicians were being blackmailed by him, and he ended up getting offed because he threatened to out them. So, like names like the Clintons and stuff like that are thrown around. While I think that's true, and while I do think that he did have some sort of operation ring, I have a conspiracy theory about Jeffrey Epstein that goes beyond just him blackmailing some of the powerful people to become powerful. So we're going to watch a video, we're going to react to it, but this pushes forward what is the conspiracy about this whole thing.
Jeffrey Epstein once.
Yep.
Talk to me about what that's like, coming face to face with somebody of that caliber.
Whatever that means. Well, one thing is that there is a physiological reaction that corresponds to this phrase that, the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. Like, that's a real physiological feeling. I don't know whether the hair actually does that, but it's exactly what it feels like. You're meeting somebody who is unholy. And, one of the most interesting things is that he was beckoning into a world that didn't seem to exist but for him as the doorman. I think that's one of the things that freaked out a lot of these rich people is that he felt rich in a movie sense, which is not something that you find among actually rich people.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of very wealthy people don't own an island. Islands are really tough to maintain. I'm obsessed with islands, and in general, I have to be obsessed with islands that have airports run by other people because they have populations on them. But every rich person starts to wonder: Can I afford an island, or how many jets? And if you look at Jeffrey Epstein's wealth, it was like gold beaten into gold foil so that it could cover a vast area and leave the impression of a solid gold life. But it was really probably on a mid 9-figure fortune that had been used to buy islands and planes, which is not what any 9-figure person is going to do.
So you had a felt sense, an embodied sense of discomfort?
Oh, hell yeah.
And where did that come from?
The fact that he had a lipstick camera pointed at me from an art object, that he laid a table that was preposterously long and thin with a tablecloth made of an American flag to make it look like a coffin so that I would spill my coffee on the flag of my own country. I mean, the fact that he looked like a mutant.
I guess one question I have is, how does he know he had like a lipstick camera hidden there? Is he that good? Like, is he that good at spotting these hidden cameras? Like, interesting.
The fact that he had a lipstick camera pointed at me from an art object, that he laid a table that was preposterously long and thin with a tablecloth made of an American flag to make it look like a coffin so that I would spill my coffee on the flag of my own country. I mean, the fact that he looked like a mutant Ralph Lauren with this kind of lubricious quality, and he's talking all of the science and market stuff, and nothing adds up, and there's an heiress bouncing on his knee to get her boobs to jiggle to see whether it can distract. I mean, it's like,
what?
One of these crazy scenes where nothing about it was normal. There was no trace of a normal world.
That sounds like a script from a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it, John Travolta is like putting a gun to your head and forcing you to drink and break a code in a minute. Yeah, like that part of it. And then there was some sort of remember that story, The Most Dangerous Game, where a man invites you to his island so he can hunt you? This was scary, and it was meant to be scary.
Sounds menacing.
Well, I think his product was silence. People think that his product was sex or finance, but it was silence. I'm pretty sure.
What does that mean?
If you're scary enough, look, rich people can get sex, but they can't necessarily get people to shut up.
Yeah, they can get sex. Wait, let's say that again for the people in the back.
Rich people can get sex.
Rich people can get sex. You know what I'm saying?
But they can't necessarily get people to shut up afterwards.
That's true.
So my take on it instantly was, this is not an actual human. This is a construct of someone's. Someone has created a fake human being called Jeffrey Epstein, who's a mysterious currency trading financier with crazy rules so that no one would ever invest with him. And I think that was to keep people from seeking his investment services. I mean, he's labeled disgraced financier, but nobody has a record of trading with him. He was sitting there, he comes into the meeting and he says, well, Eric, I was just doing some currency trading. And I thought about that scene that you sometimes see as a meme with Steve Buscemi with a skateboard over his shoulder.
Hello, fellow kids. Teenagers. Yeah, hello, fellow financial traders.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, you don't really look like a rich guy who trades in markets.
The thing that I'm finding myself intrigued by here is it takes a moderate amount of cognitive horsepower to be able to piece together this theater.
Okay, so one sec. You know what I'm doing? I'm getting a juice off my hands because that was some juicy stuff. He said Jeffrey Epstein was not a person. He was a construct. And we can get into what he means by that. But what? Jeffrey Epstein was a construct. A construct of what? Let's get into it.
That you sat down at.
Yeah.
Deployed in a nefarious, malicious, manipulative way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's smart.
What do you mean it's smart? Say more.
It's not something that could be done by a simple mind.
You think he did it?
Oh, he has a team of manipulators?
No, when I say I think he was a construct, I literally mean that. I think he was constructed, like fitted with a story.
Oh, so you think he was a plant?
No.
Like Diddy. I'm telling y'all, like Diddy. Diddy was a plant.
No, I think he was a construct.
What's that? Okay, you're going to have to dig into.
I think Jeffrey Epstein, super genius financier, was not a thing that existed. Where did the money come from? You're going to mumble Lex Wexner? Okay, so that's what you mumble. But then, there's this missing fortune of Robert Maxwell and this fortune of Jeffrey Epstein that we can't explain. Are those the same fortune? It's like a conservation of money principle, that if you have a fortune that's missing and you have a fortune...
Okay, once again, this guy is rich. He's like one of the richest people on Wall Street. Went to Harvard Business School, and he's saying this kind of stuff. Jeffrey Epstein's fortune was fake. He was a plant. He was set up as a construct. For what? Like, are y'all licking the juice off your fingers too? You know what I mean?
Can't be explained, and they're connected by Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know. Why is it that no hedge funds, what is it? They file form, I forget if it's 13F. There's certain forms that you have to file. Nobody's ever asked for these things. Who's his prime broker? Where has somebody gone over the prime brokerage? What are his trades? He would have to move the market if he was, doing a yard of euros or Swiss francs or who knows what, like $1 billion. That would move the market. So there's no way you can fake retroactively a hedge fund of immeasurable size that trades currencies. I don't think he was a currency trader. He told me he was a currency trader.
So when you say a construct, who constructs? Who's the builder?
I don't know. I would imagine some version of the intelligence community.
What?
Sometimes somebody's cover gets blown. We have a
Yep.
very famous, unfortunate story of Eli Cohen with the Mossad, where Eli Cohen was an Egyptian Jew who was fitted with a backstory.
Okay, so you guys get what he's saying here? He thinks that the intelligence community, like the CIA or somebody, constructed Epstein to accomplish their purposes. And he mentions Eli Cohen. Let's look this guy up. Eli Cohen was an Egyptian-born Israeli spy. He is best known for his espionage work in Syria, where he developed close relationships with the Syrian political military hierarchy. So this guy was a ditty, right? He was a ditty in the 1960s. He was throwing sex parties. He was buying tigers. He was doing all kinds of crap in there. He got killed. He got hung in Syria when he was 40 years old. So y'all don't think this stuff happens. This stuff happens, right? Epstein is an example of this happening. This, like... Wake up, people. The intelligence community does this kind of stuff. And what do they do it for? Control. I don't even think this is that crazy. They do it for control. We have an example right here of someone that the Mossad sent out, right? So let's keep watching here.
Kobe was a currency trader.
So when you say a construct, who constructs? Who's the builder?
I don't know. I would imagine some version of the intelligence community. You know, sometimes somebody's cover gets blown. We have a very famous, unfortunate story of Eli Cohen with the Mossad, where Eli Cohen was an Egyptian Jew who was fitted with a backstory that he was an Argentinian playboy who'd made a fortune in Argentina, but was Arabic in origin. And then he moves to Damascus, and he takes out an apartment where he holds orgies.
Diddy! Diddy! Can anyone spell Diddy? Right? He takes out an apartment where he does what?
Apartment where he holds orgies.
Orgies.
And
Interesting.
becomes the best friend of Hafez al-Assad, right? And so that's an example of a story we know. We know how the intelligence communities of the world create people who don't really exist.
Yep. Celebrities and everything.
Construction of... I know that this is just a one-time thing here that you got to see, but the construction of the coffin-looking American flag, the spilling of the coffee, this weird power play thing that's going on, that seems... Now that you say that it wasn't him even pulling his own strings, perhaps, it makes a lot more sense, but even that degree of sophistication, I learned this from Daniel Schmachtenberger. We sat down, and he's spent some time with particularly powerful people.
Yeah.
And he told me this really harrowing story of somebody who has both the desire and the means to treat themselves like an apex predator against their own kind. And they said so. They broke the fourth wall about this and said apex predators don't care about the prey, but they saw their own kind as prey. And I asked Daniel, how does it feel to sit opposite somebody who isn't rate limited by the resources, who can not only dream to have this, plus have the motivation or lack of virtue or integrity to go ahead and consider doing it, and then has the capacity, the assets to be able to enact it.
Sure.
And it's reminding me, it's giving me this same something. It feels like it's up on the top of my head. It's giving me some sort of a sense like that.
This was intended to be terrifying. It wasn't an accident.
Okay, so just to recap, because these guys go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but we talked about Jeffrey Epstein. We talked about how he's probably a CIA plan or something like that. We talked about Eli Cohen, and how he was planted by the Mossad for the same thing. He threw these wild sex parties, probably to blackmail people. He ended up getting caught for espionage, for spying, for trying to enact the will of Israel or the West in an area that was hostile to us. So you guys don't think this stuff happens here? It does. It does. Why did Epstein get got? He didn't kill himself. Epstein did not kill himself. Why did he get got? Because he was going to blow everybody's cover. The American people can't know this kind of stuff. And that's exactly what's going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, please be sure to like and subscribe. For you who are on Twitch, I have my channel here on YouTube Abnormal Alley. Please do subscribe. Show us some love. We'll be bringing you content weekly. Thank you, and bye.